Excerpt from 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose. Foreman. All right, gentlemen, let's take seats. Seventh juror to the second juror. This better be fast. I got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yankees, Cleveland. We got this new kid pitching. Model Jelski, or whatever his name is. He's a bull, this kid. He shoots his hand forward and out to indicate the path of a curveball. Shoom! A real jug handle. There's no reaction at all from the second juror. You're quite a ball fan, aren't you? He turns to the foreman. Where do you want us to sit? The foreman. Well, I was thinking we ought to sit in order by jury members. He points with each member. 2, 3, 4, and so on, if that's okay with you, gentlemen. 10th juror says, what's the difference? 4th juror, I think it's reasonable to sit according to number. 10th juror rising, let it be. He moves to sit on chair 10. The jurors begin to take their seats. The 8th juror continues to stare out the window. The 9th juror is still in the lavatory. 12th juror to the 11th juror. What was your impression of the prosecuting attorney? The 11th juror with a German accent. I beg pardon? 12th juror. I thought he was really sharp. I mean, the way he hammered his points home, one by one in logical sequence. Takes a good brain to do that. I was very impressed. 11th juror. Yes, I think he did an expert job. 12th juror. I mean, he had a lot of drive, too. Real drive. 7th juror. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Foreman to the 8th juror. How about sitting down? The 8th juror does not hear the foreman. The gentleman at the window. The 8th juror turns, startled. How about sitting down? The 8th juror. Oh, I'm sorry. He moves to his chair and sits. The 9th juror enters the room from the lavatory and washes his hands. The 10th juror across from the table from the 4th juror. It's pretty tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father? Bing! Just like that. 12th juror. Well, if you analyze the figures... 10th juror. What figures? It's those people, I'm telling you. They let the kids run wild up there. Well, maybe it serves them right. Know what I mean? The foreman crosses to the washroom door. 7th juror to the 5th juror. Hey, you a Yankee fan? 5th juror. No, Milwaukee. 7th juror. Milwaukee? That's like being hit on the head with a crowbar once a day. Listen, who they got. I'm asking you. Who they got besides great groundskeepers? All right, now you gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to have any rules. If we want to first discuss and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now to see how we stand. He pauses and looks around. Well, that's all I have to say. The 4th juror. I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote. 7th juror. Yeah, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home. Foreman. It's up to you. Just let's remember, we've got a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory. 4th juror. I think we all know that. 3rd juror. Come on, let's vote. 10th juror. Yeah, let's see who's where. Foreman. Anybody doesn't want to vote? He looks around. The others are silent. All right, this has to be a 12-0 vote either way. That's the law, okay? Are we ready? All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 7 or 8 hands go up immediately. Several others go up more slowly. Everyone looks around the table as the foreman rises and begins to count hands. The 9th juror's hand goes up now, and all hands are raised except the 8th juror's. 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty. The 8th juror slowly raises his hand. 1. Right. Okay. 11 to 1 guilty. Now we know where we are. He resumes his seat. 10th juror. Boy, oh boy. There's always one. 7th juror after a pause. So what do we do now? 8th juror. Well, I guess we talk. 10th juror. Boy, oh boy. 3rd juror, leaning over to the 8th juror. Well, look, do you really think he's innocent? I don't know. I mean, let's be reasonable. You sat in court and heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it. The man? He's 16 years old. Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father, 4 inches in the chest. The 6th juror to the 8th juror. It's pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced from the first day. 3rd juror. Well, who wasn't? To the eighth juror, I really think this is one of those open and shut things. They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you? Eighth juror, no. 10th juror, then what do you want? Eighth juror, nothing. I just want to talk. 7th juror, well, what's there to talk about? 11 men here agree. Nobody had to think twice about it except you. 10th juror, I want to ask you something. Do you believe his story? 8th juror, I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't. 7th juror, so what'd you vote not guilty for? There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first. Who says it's easy for me? No one. What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years. I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just that we're talking about somebody's life here. I mean, we can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong. Suppose we're wrong? Suppose this whole building fell on my head. You can't suppose anything. That's right. 7th juror after a pause. What's the difference how long it takes? We honestly think he's guilty. So suppose we finish in 5 minutes. So what? 8th juror. Let's take an hour. The ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock. Okay, Slugger. Be my guest. There's a silence. The foreman hesitantly. Well, who's got something to say? He looks at the 2nd juror. How about you? 2nd juror. Not me. 9th juror. I'm willing to give it an hour.